Welcome to the Driven to Succeed Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Olson. My co-host today, Brett LaCoy. And what do we want to talk about today?
Well, Brandon, I think we should talk a little bit about LowNet.
Yes, LowNet. Right?
What is it?
What is it? Well, you can see the logo back here. It's, I actually changed the name recently.
You did.
But it was an idea that I came up with 4 years ago on lead generation for loan officers, because I was hiring my first junior loan officer. Didn't want to pay Zillow a pile of money and all these different lead sources that didn't seem to work. Wanted a new way to lead generate.
Right.
What happened?
It's not a lead gen platform anymore, Brandon.
So
it's evolved.
It has. It's evolved greatly. The team has grown greatly, and part of the reason why I'm bringing awareness to it today is that we're launching in just a couple of weeks or even short days from now. And it's been 4 years in the making. I was really trying to build almost like the Tinder for loan officers, where you could find the local one in your area you wanted to work with based on their acumen. Like, what do they do? First-time home buyers, they have down payment, the VA loans, specialists, this much funding, these things. And, I brought it to my boss. And I said, hey, what do you think of this? This is after I talked to quite a few loan officers, like, oh, wow, that's awesome.
Right.
And he said, what's the chicken before the egg, right? So the cart before the horse. How are you going to get all the money to create this and then make sure you get the loan officers on it in the first place? Right? So kind of had to go back to square one.
Square one.
So let's talk about square one. What did that mean? So LowNet it's an end-to-end solution for loan officers to use in sales to give a better experience with the customer, provide faster application times.
Yes, and there's a lot of components that go into that. Right. One of the big things, personally, is my favorite thing about LowNet is the ability for me to give you a call, like first time, and then I can say, hey, do you want to do a video chat? That way I get to meet you guys face to face, and then we're going to go through all of the pre-qualifying questions. It's going to be filling out a dynamic form, and you're going to be seeing everything that I'm entering. You're going to be able to make sure that I'm not making any mistakes taking your information
They can
down.
enter on their side
They can
as well.
enter
That's
them.
new.
That is brand new.
That's brand new.
So they're going to be able to do this all on their side, and this all comes through a web browser on your phone. So there's no app that they need to download. There's no
How does it
hassle.
work? Like, what do? You send a text?
Yeah, I send you a text, and I'll let you know, hey, accept the permissions to use your microphone and camera so that we can talk together. And then it's really that easy. Then we just go through a pre-qualification.
Yeah, and really show people what they are pre-qualified for.
Absolutely.
And, we've been using it for a couple of years now, right? It's been tested, beta testing. We've added a pile of new features, but we really bought the base product for a couple of years. And every time I've used it with a client or said, hey, would you like to go through a pre-qualifying call? It's a quick video chat. The only times they say no is if they're driving, but I can usually tell.
You shouldn't be doing this while you're driving. We'll just go ahead and put that disclaimer out there.
Right.
But if you're at home or you're on break at work, we're able to do that. And I think it's kind of nice because, really, since COVID, how many people come into the office anymore?
Well, and everybody uses video chat now anyway.
Right.
So we just found a better way to utilize it in our industry. And that's the best. That's the beauty behind all of it. It's just we really can show you what you qualify for, right? And I've built my business off of pre-qualifying people. Many loan officers don't.
Sure.
I just go to my website, do the application. If you're not building enough rapport in the first place,
yeah.
Do you always get that application?
No, absolutely not.
Right.
It's not, or you get it 2 weeks later, or sometimes even 3 weeks or a month.
Right.
Honestly, it's happened. It's not uncommon to hear that.
Right.
Building that rapport, and again, Brandon, you've always said in this industry, it is sales, but we're in the customer service industry. This fixes that, and not only that, but I do want to get to know my clients.
Right.
This is how I build my business.
Right. I remember.
Absolutely.
Okay, so closing clients, never seen anything besides a driver's license, right? Because we do everything digitally. application comes in digitally. 1 out of 20 you might have come into the office because they want to bring in some documents because they don't have the ability to scan them in or whatever. But now by being able to utilize the platform, you get to see them. Like I would go to closings and I'd literally look around the room and be like,
you don't look like you're.
I don't know who my buyers are. So 74%, and this was last year. I forget who did this research now. I don't have it but it's on our pitch deck. 74% of buyers want to meet their loan officer either in person or virtually.
Right. They want to know who they're doing business with.
Right.
This is a hundreds of $1,000s, transaction here. Yeah, I'd like to know the person I'm doing business with.
Yes, and when you do get a chance to meet, who do you do the most business with? It's the people that you do get a chance to meet, right?
Yes.
It's the reason why you've met your agents in person. The reason why your agents give you that warm referral because they can say, hey, Brett's a great guy. He's really got your back. He's very fully focused on making sure it's a stress-free application environment. You can get to closing on time. He'll take great care of you. Warm
transfer,
right.
And then we just keep it as stress-free as possible.
Right. So the biggest thing is, building that relationship. That's where the basis of the components are. Now we have a full pipeline management system. So once you do that application or a pre-qualifying, it goes into a pre-qualifying. Once they do the application, we move them right through the pipeline. As a loan officer, have all of your clients right there from funded. You can do your own lead campaigns through them. All of that. So pipeline, lead management. We have a refinance portal where we're not in a refinance market right now.
We're not really in a refinance market right now, and it'll be interesting to see what comes up in the next few months. I'm 50-50 on it if we're going to be having a lot of refinances or not.
We're not going to have a lot.
I don't think
number one, there wasn't a lot of transactions. So the refi boom that happened during COVID, there's millions of people that could benefit, right?
Right.
There's not millions of people. Well, there could potentially
be
millions, but
not millions.
Not like millions upon millions of people that could refinance their home purchase before, which was why a lot of companies came, like new brokerages came in, like, hey, we can jump on this right now. Rates are so low, we can make a ton of money. And then all those guys are now not making that kind of money because they were focused on refinance.
Right.
But we have, the basics are, referral portal, finance calculator that is really set up for FHA and conventional, pulling in mortgage insurance costs.
That is one of my favorite aspects also within Loan Note, because after we've collected all of your information, what I get to do is at the bottom we have a little results tab. It tells you the maximum that you would be potentially pre-approved for, right?
Correct.
And so what we can do then is, while we're still there on the video chat, we can actually run through scenarios with a real mortgage calculator, not something that's estimating things that you might find on Zillow or Realtor.com or Redfin. It's an actual mortgage calculator that we can go through and use, show you what's going on, and then show you the variables, taxes, insurance. How is that all going to play into it?
Right.
So you actually really get a first-hand look of what is this going to cost. And it's not just a phone call with your loan officer saying, oh, yep, you're approved up to this much, we'll figure it out.
Right.
Now you actually know.
Yeah, and this gives it gives the loan officer and the potential client, the ability to talk about the different loan programs. Because when you're pre-qualifying people, you're finding out how much cash you have available. What do you think your credit score is right now? Mm-hmm. What is your long-term goals? Sure. Like all the things that you do to pre-qualifying, and it also sets people. I mean, I've had it where a client does an application. They've been looking at houses that are $350,000, and I tell them the payment on $350,000 is $2,500 or $2,700. And they're like, oh my God, I can't afford that. Like I'm paying $1,400 for rent right now. I was thinking $1,800.
Or they come back and they say, well, that's not what the calculator over on one of these other websites. Yeah, what's going on with that? Guys, all of those calculators are marketing tools.
Right.
100% they're going to show you the absolute best case scenario, which maybe 0.5% of the population is going to fall into. Much times it's much more complicated. or expensive than that. Generally, they, like for an example, they always put 20% down.
Well, and then they also show a rate that's way lower than what the average rate is too at that time too. It's a lead generation tool. You click on the link and you do the things, and then they ask you a few questions, and next thing you know, you got your phone ringing off the hook.
Right.
to do an application with them, right? So we built. I came up with the idea, and I built the team. And Brett, you are my chief product manager.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
CPM.
CPM.
Yes.
Yes.
And the team has grown to over 10 strong that are active. We've just brought in a couple of new developers that are artificial intelligence. So I want to talk about what the future looks like. What is the future? My goal is an end-to-end solution, right? And my goal is for loan officers to be able to not only pre-qualify, but pre-approve somebody, pull documents in, read all the documents, determine the loan program the first time we ever speak to somebody.
Right.
You know how beneficial that is for a borrower?
Oh, it's huge.
You know how beneficial that is for a real estate partner?
It's good for it's good for everybody.
Right. So I'm Mr. Agent. I give Brett a new client. Brett goes through, calls them up. They do the pre-qualifying. Then you say, hey, another 10, 15 more minutes, we can actually complete your application.
Right.
You got all your information right now. We're going to do application, pull everything through. As I'm doing this, I'm requesting your documentation, such as your bank statements.
Paychecks.
The artificial intelligence is going to read it, going to show what we have, and then we're going to start determining what loan programs you have. At the same time, we're doing all the homework, but we're guiding that process, right?
Yes.
Helping the borrowers. There's many borrowers that can do all this stuff on their own.
Yep.
But how many people actually they struggle with it?
Oh, it's very hard. Well, it's overwhelming.
Right. How many times do you see is like, hey, Brett, you have a new application started?
Mm-hmm.
And then nothing.
And
then it's crickets.
Yes, and then its new application started 3 weeks ago, and nothing has progressed.
In the meantime, the borrower says, man, I'm trying to get all this stuff for Brett, and they're talking to their sister, and they're like, hey, just use my guy. My guy was awesome. It's no different than you.
Right.
But now all of a sudden you got somebody else in the mix because it took a little longer, and you were just like, oh, I didn't have enough time to finish that night. I can say at any given time I have, half a dozen or more apps just sitting waiting, right?
Yeah.
So then I'm reaching out to the clients, hey, can I help you? And like, oh, I just got too busy.
Right.
There's a lot of homework to do with this.
And don't get us wrong. We understand that life comes up, but if we're able to give you a platform where we can streamline the process, that's really what this is coming down to. And then, we're making it easy on everybody.
Correct. And the biggest thing is making it, I want to make it easier for your loan officer assistant, for your processors, for your underwriters, because we can find the conditions, and then with our artificial intelligence, we're going to go through and meet those conditions or what are needed based on that loan file and that borrower,
Correct.
Based on that credit.
Correct.
So we're not there yet. We're building it as we speak. Google gave us a bunch of money to use to build this. We just were awarded that in January, and so that felt pretty good to get.
That feels very good.
Yes.
That feels very good.
We got a lot of traction. Some accredited investors have jumped aboard, and we're gearing up for sales. But I really wanted to get that out there, start creating some awareness to it for our real estate partners, for our other lenders that want to use it. It is a subscription model where you just pay for it monthly. And we recently switched companies, and they have a lot of technology here with our company.
There's a ton of technology.
Right, but there's also all these monthly subscriptions we can sign up for. MBS Highway, Mortgage Coach, all these different platforms where LoanNet, what I've wanted to design it for is a one-stop shop, one platform. You log into it every day. It's going to control all of your leads. You don't have to go into Salesforce or other lead programs and set up these different campaigns. We do want it to be intuitive, user-friendly. We're looking for the best. I'm always the path of least resistance guy.
Right.
And if there's a ton of work that I have to do every single day on something that is taking away my ability to go out and prospect or do other things, I'm not going to do all that other stuff.
No, and that's part of the beauty of it. There's a lot of different products out there, but nothing is all encompassing.
No, building a CRM. I wasn't even trying to build a CRM, but once we started collecting all that information, well, guess what? You got
you got a CRM,
right? So that's not our focus. Our focus is really humanizing the digital touch, because everything is digital. Everything we do is digital, right?
Yep.
We want our clients to sign in, do the application, and complete everything digitally. A lot of times, there's a lot of different sets of the population that really struggle with that, and they need help. So they're asking their real estate agent to help them with it, or they're trying to meet you after hours to do that. And if we can change that ability to just be able to do it, set that time up, schedule that time. If let's say you get a call like, hey, I can do this at 5:30 tonight, and it's going to take this long. Let's do it. Let's get it, knock it out. Like, I will help drive that bus for you. It's like your teacher helping you on an exam.
Right.
Right. And one of the other reasons why is like, why do most declined applications fail?
Why do most declined applications fail?
For incorrect application information.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
The information put on the application was incorrect. Maybe we had a job time that was wrong.
Sure.
Maybe we had, some declarations that weren't correct. They didn't understand it, right? And then you get through all the way through and into underwriting. You've already put earnest money down on a house. You've already paid for an inspection, and appraisal's like been ordered. You've already paid for it, and the underwriter says, "Hey, we got an issue here. The job time doesn't work. We got variable income. We got all these different things."
Right.
Right. That's what we want to avoid.
Correct.
Because guess who can do a loan application the best with any borrower?
I mean,
Loan officer.
the loan officer.
Right. Because that's what we do every single day. We correct applications that come in. A lot of times, I will tell people, if you get caught up on something, just skip it, hit submit. I will help you come back and help you fill it in.
Sure. Or give me a call if you have any questions while you're
Obviously,
doing it.
obviously, yes.
But I mean, like, one of the biggest declarations that asks, well, are you taking out credit for any other purchase? And a lot of folks think, well, yeah, I'm taking out credit to purchase this home. But that's not actually what it's asking.
Or they are getting a down payment assistance loan. You
Right.
might have talked about that, so they put that in there. And obviously we got to be very thorough when we review these, but things do happen. Things get missed.
Yes.
And they get all the way through the next stage, and then you're like correcting applications, having signed more things. One of the biggest, one of the fun part of this, I've been pitching this for a long time. I've been building, and we've built the team. In the last 18 months, the team is growing. We're looking at adding a new full stack developer here in the next couple of weeks. But it's everybody I've talked to is like, hey, have you bought a home before? What was the process like? Oh my God, it was excruciating. They always wanted this. I already sent it to them 3 times, and this and that. Like, oh my God, everybody can relate when they're buying a house. Our goal with our artificial intelligence, which is kind of a loose term in this industry because a lot of people boast it, it's been around for a long time. Our real goal with that is truly helping that loan officer determine what is the best loan product for them. That's the artificial intelligence side, because it's going to start reviewing different loan programs. So maybe with the credit score being, say, a 670, they can get conventional financing, but we can go side by side without having to rebuild everything in a new loan.
Right.
And we can say, hey, the likelihood of an FHA being this payment and this much savings this a month immediately versus a conventional this.
Right. Because, and for all the folks out there who don't know, generally speaking, in that kind of scenario, your FHA interest rate is going to be lower than a conventional rate.
Correct.
Right.
Mortgage insurance is going to be lower.
Mortgage insurance is
Even though it's a fixed rate.
Right, right. But it's when you fall into that range, sometimes conventional is not the best way to go.
But it's designed to tell both the loan officer and the client, hey, here's the reasonable way to go. There might be, let's just say it's a 670 with 20% down, it's going to flip it. Right. it's going to say, well, now you're better off going to a conventional
route.
than, whatnot. But, or there's a super low DTI, there's different reasons, but that's what it's going to do, right? And it's going to save a loan officer or their assistant or their processor a ton of time because you know how long it takes to reset it, put a new
template
loan
on there.
template, new programs, change everything up, make sure that everything's accurate, rerun findings. I mean, you can be a couple hours into a loan to try to see if things work or not, right?
Right.
So our design is to not only make it better for the loan officer, better for the processors, assistants, but for the borrowers, but also reduce that cost of lending.
Yes.
Because if we can speed up that processing and that underwriting process, you can do more loans, which can reduce the times or the number of staff that you may have, or, a brand new loan officer comes into the business. Can you afford to go pay $40,000 to a loan officer assistant?
Right. Can I?
Yeah.
Not right now, no.
Right. I mean, generally they're shared across a few different loan officers a lot of times, right? But, that's not at every company.
No.
Some companies like, well, no, we don't have that. You got to get your own, right? Or, so it's like now you're struggling with that, right? But maybe that company pays more, but now you have to do more. So now you're in this conundrum where the more you do, the more workload you have until you can get to the point where you can finally pay somebody, right?
Right.
So now, if you're a brand new loan officer and you use the product and it helps you with, it's almost a scripted product, training-wise.
It very much is. I mean, that whole onboarding with the borrower is set up. You can just ask the questions, and you're not going to screw up. Right. I mean, there's other questions you should be asking, but the 85% of the meat and the potatoes is already in those dynamic forms.
And why do people like to, so put it this way, you get a lot of online leads, and I've called them in the past. I've done it all, and it's super hard to get that online lead comfortable with you. They didn't have they might have filled out the information.
Right.
They might have 10 people calling them. They might have 20 people calling them, depending on where they went to, right?
Depending on where they went.
And now you have to win. And what easier way to win better than actually getting to see each other, kind of look at the whole thing, and see where we're at from, just sell yourself, not just on the phone. I mean, there's plenty of good people that's been on the phone.
There's a lot of good people that are on the phone, but I'll tell you this right now. If I get to see your face, see your facial expressions, you're talking with me, yeah, you can be great on the phone, but I don't feel like I've really met them yet.
Right.
I've met you.
Right. Exactly.
So I mean, it's your edge.
Right. And then on top of it, for new, what I love about it is a new loan officer can just literally pick it up and make a call. And I remember how shaky I was talking to people. You're looking at homes that are 200, 300, 400, $500,000 more, and you're shaky. You don't know what you're talking about, right? Mm-hmm. You don't, and you're asking these questions, and you might have had some scripts and some training, and you've passed all your classes, which a lot of times just for more of a compliance thing, because what you actually learn in the real world is way different than what the actual classes to get your license. But the real world training is literally talking to real clients, because they can only train you so far, on these types of scenarios. I just remember I'd go to my boss okay, I got this information, right? And it took me, half an hour to even get to that or whatever. And then what do you think I should do? Because I didn't know what loan programs I should be using, right? I didn't know why I should use Freddie versus Fannie.
Right.
I didn't know why, what's a VA loan, and I knew the purposes, right? Obviously VA loan, you got to be a vet, blah blah blah.
Right.
But trying to figure out what is the best loan program. So in the meantime, while I'm screwing around doing that, that person calls their buddy and says, "Hey man, I just talked to this guy that was super shaky on the phone. Do you know anybody else?"
Right.
Right? Or where else I should go? Maybe I'll just go to my bank. Right?
Right.
They sit down, they go to their bank, they sit down with somebody in person, what do they do? Right? So, this is why I built LoanNet. I built it to not only help train new loan officers, because I love like training you in, Brett.
Right.
I love training Terry in. I love being able to help people, and then also being able to meet my clients and see them, and really help them obtain a loan and have the best process possible. At the same time, I can help my agents by giving them, their clients, a better time. So if they're gonna, let me ask you this: if I'm a real estate agent and I have 3 lenders, what they typically do, and I send it to this guy, and this guy, but your clients seem to be happier with one guy or another, he's always going to typically win, right?
Typically, yes.
Right. And then what's that agent going to do more of?
He's going to be sending
more to you,
more
right?
to you. Yes.
So building that relationship and with your agents, with your borrowers, also looking at cutting down the costs for lenders, which ideally gets to help the client in the end. That's what the name of the game is, And I could talk all day as a founder of the company. I could talk all day about this and so forth. But this is just one of the first episodes that we're going to have on LoanNet. As we grow, as the Driven to Succeed Real Estate podcast grows, we're going to have more on. We're going to bring more real estate or partners for this on it, and maybe even investors and so forth, because we want to really get our name out there and provide that solution that nobody else is actually really focused on, humanizing the digital touch. But anyway, I'm your host, Brandon.
I'm Brett.
We look forward to working with you. If you have any questions on that, just on LoanNet at all, give us a call. Like and subscribe. Thank you again. Talk to you soon.
See you guys.